It's trash day, I'm putting you out, it's trash day. Putting you out, it's trash day. Putting you out of my mind. It's trash day, I'm putting you out, it's trash day. I'm putting you out, trash day, I'm putting you out of my mind. Now I'm gonna clean up, now I'm gonna clean up, now I'm gonna clean up the house. I'm taking all your garbage, taking all your garbage, taking all your garbage.
It starts with some beer, so you shouldn't have fear. Two garbage guys with facts, but they both still have tact. It's that time at last for the best damn podcast. It's Can Crusher Day!
And welcome back to Can Crushers. I am here alongside the English professor and IRS. We are going to cover probably one of the hottest IWC events we went to in a hell of a long time. Cage Fury 2019. Guys, I know it's early Sunday, but thanks for coming on.
No problem.
Yeah, for sure, man. It was a loud night and an early morning, so you guys are going to have to excuse our voices.
Yeah, for sure. I have the coffee going. John's legit still in bed, and Soup, if you could see his hair, Kramer looks better than him right now on Seinfeld.
Oh, wow. Low blow.
But we're here. We're dedicated.
That's right. Double feedback. We're all here for you.
That's right.
It would be triple because at least there's a manager or something. I don't know. Once again, guys, I don't know. I don't know if we just want to jump into the pre-show or just thoughts as a whole, or do you want to save that to the end?
No, let's start with a few thoughts.
Yeah, that
about
works.
everything as a whole, and then we'll go match by match.
All right. Run with it.
All right. One thing I said to you last night, Mark, was from when we first started going IWC to now, the production value is it's night and day. I mean, Justin and Jenny really are all in on this. One thing I said to you that I liked was all the people with cameras, and they looked like they didn't give a damn about wrestling, which is what I want out of my camera people. I want them shooting, I want them taking pictures, and I want them incognito, dressed in black with headsets on, and it's exactly what they were. They looked like they were doing a really good job. They looked really professional.
But you never see the camera part of it, John. You never see the camera part of it. So how do you know if they're just shooting the ring ropes or not?
I don't know. It looked good.
Okay.
They could have just not been shooting anything. For all I know, it looked good. It gave me a feel of professionalism.
Okay. Sorry, Soup. Go ahead.
I was going to say the crowd was hot from match one all the way to the main event. Great crowd again, and like always. And yeah, that production just the last few months has been, great to see. So it makes it feel bigger and badder.
Yeah, when we talked to the plumbers a few months ago now, I'm going to try to save all the AEW puns. I'm not really punny today. Plumber said they were going to spend a lot of money to get better results, So that's what they were. I was trying not to say all in, but that's the only way.
I got that one in already.
Yeah. I know. All right, so the pre-show, right off the bat, there was a change to the pre-show because it was advertised, a Facebook show, whatever you want to call it. It was Mambo Italiano, Jamie Jameson, and then it was supposed to be Dylan Bostic. And we're like...
Dylan Bostic!
And we were like, what? Why didn't Bostic come out? That's Nate Snoo's shtick, by the way. Every time somebody says Dylan Bostic, he does Dylan Bostic. It was unbelievable how many times you guys did that last night.
Oh, Azra's little brother, he's a brand new fan of Dylan Bostic. He respects the douchiness, finally.
Nice. So this was a good match. Let's talk about Mambo against Jamie because it just ended up being a one-on-one match. John, I know this is going to piss you off. I really like Mambo anymore. He's sold me. He is a true Italian.
I'm with you. He the character took a little bit of time maybe to develop, but he's committed to it, and isn't that a big part of it? Isn't that the majority of it? Committing to what you're doing. He's committed to it, man. He's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, he got the crowd going. They started with the USA chants. He had his Italian flag on with him. And just, that's what you need from a heel is to get crowd reaction. And, yeah, the more his character is coming along, the better the crowd reaction is becoming.
Real quick, throughout wrestling history, we as a nation have feuded with Iran, Iraq, Russia, Uganda, Canada.
Bulgaria.
Helsinki, Finland. The list goes on and on and on. Only IWC can bring you an Italian villain. So kudos, IWC. I've never heard a USA chant when Dominic DeNucci or Sal Balomo or Bruno Sammartino are in the ring. So only at IWC.
I'll correct that. I will correct that. Don't forget, Santino Marella also turned bad at one point. So sorry.
No. You're right.
So Mambo Italiano, he looks like he could be related to a Pittsburgh Pirate. He really does. Like, he's got the whole facial feature. Like, I thought he looked like Francisco Cervelli last night a little bit. Just a little bit where I was like, damn, maybe he's helping Francisco train to get better. He's on rehab right now, right?
Right. You know what it was? It was that the hair coming to like a point at the front. He had Cervelli's hairstyle.
Right. And Silva knows him.
Silva knows someone who sort of knows him, who is sort of related to him, or something.
Is it Cervelli?
No, Mambo Italiano.
No. Yeah, I mean, is Cervelli the one related to him?
Oh, right.
Silva knows.
So you guys are going to brunch today with Mambo and having spaghetti and meatballs.
Exactly.
Soup, I don't know if you know this. The Padalanos know a plethora of people. First of all, do you know John was at WrestleMania 1?
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
And his wife goes to Erie like every other weekend to have brunch with James Conner. The Steelers
Doesn't she also
running.
know the Usos?
She works in the penitentiary, so yeah.
Oh, she just works with them. Okay,
Yeah.
that's okay.
It's
I understand.
unbelievable the people that these Padlanos know.
Yeah.
Man,
I'm glad he's
glad
on
they
our
know
show.
us.
Exactly.
We rub elbows.
So to get back to the match, it was a good match. But I said something. Jamie's just kind of stuck in this opener pre-show match all the time. He's good. Why can't he get to the next level?
He had a good feud with Mandime last month, and there was a lot of stuff on social media. He had a lot of guys, a lot of fans behind him. But just with him taking the loss, I can't explain it. I don't know. The fans just 1 month they're behind him, the next month they're not.
He had a little thing going. It seems like every time he has something going, it's gone. He was teaming with whom? Marshall Gambino there for a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And Marshall retired, so I can understand that. And it just seems like maybe, Gambino's decision to retire had an effect on Jamie Jamison. Now he's kind of lost in the shuffle a little bit again.
Jamie does pick up the win in this match, though. And it was a hard-hitting match. I mean, Jamie's good. He puts on rough and tumble matches, so...
His clotheslines and his elbow drops, they remind me a little bit of Scott Steiner. They look like they have hard impact behind them.
Yeah, for a big guy, he can lay the waste to some people. So yeah, it was nice to see him get the win. Hopefully, it helps build to something for next month.
Yeah, and that, by the way, folks, next month looks unbelievable. You're gonna go nuts when you hear some of the matches.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so we're now on the main show, and Chris LaRusso and Jock Sampson are to defend their IWC Tag Team Championships. They're known as the Regulators against the main event. Well, the main
They're
event...
not just some geeks from off the street. They're the regulators.
Right.
Thank you.
Right. Do you have any gin and juice right now? Nothing. So the main event's in. Liddy comes out, and here comes Jock Sampson with
Lawless in Order.
Yeah, Dan and David. No LaRusso. Well, we find out LaRusso said, hey, he got beat up last month, so he went to Europe on vacation. Good for him.
Yeah.
Good.
Jock said he was stressed and needed some time away to relax. He's probably sitting out by some water somewhere. He went to Europe, so maybe he was in Italy.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Yeah. He could be hanging out with the Hangman, who was from Europe. They never specified a country. Anyway, there's a little history for you. He was from Europe. That's all they ever said. And that's all we know about LaRusso right now. He's in Europe. So could be hanging with the Hangman.
Or Cervelli's parents. So, who we just don't know.
Yeah. Who knows?
So we find out that Law and Order is actually going to take on the Regulators, and if Law and Order defeat the main event, they get their title shot September in Wheeling, West Virginia at the casino. Match, go.
Yeah, it was. It started out. Again, locked and loaded. The challengers started trying. They tried their best, but then the numbers game caught up to them. And again, the crowd reaction was hot. I thought it was very hot.
They started fast, and that's why, Mark, you thought it was going to be a quick match, was because the main event started out so fast, showing they were just a better team. But then, like Soup says, the numbers game came into play, and they started to get the upper hand on the main event. Jock Sampson got involved when the ref wasn't looking. But ultimately, the main event had better double team moves, proved they were the better team.
So you're saying the Regulators got down and dirty a little bit as well?
Definitely. More than a little bit.
So, yeah, congratulations on the main event. Still remaining number one contenders for those tag team titles, and they win. Liddy was on fire last night. Let's talk about Liddy a little bit. Like, normally he heads back to backstage after, he brings them out. He stayed at the ring and was jucking and jiving all over the place.
I saw earlier in the week he was at a Washington Wild Things, the Independent Baseball League. He was at a game with the main event. Argos was scheduled to throw the first pitch. He refused to do it. Main event was able to wrestle the ball away from Argos, the heavyweight champion, and Liddy threw the first pitch at the baseball game. So maybe after that, Liddy's got a little spunk to him or something,
Yeah, more self-confidence. Yeah, we've seen Liddy in the past kind of back away from a fight. And while he wasn't necessarily jumping into a fight, he was keeping an eye on Jock Sampson and wasn't backing away at all.
Nice. Next matchup is Andrew Palace against R.C. Dupree for the High Stakes Championship. This was probably one of my favorite matches of the night because there was a special stipulation going into this, as there are all the time on high stake matches. This was a Canadians rule match. What do you know about that, guys? Before we even get into the match, do you know Canadian rules?
Well, I know that Rule 364
That's correct.
is that you cannot pull the hair of the champion. Or was that Rule 419?
364 is no fighting on the outside of the ring.
Yeah, oh, yes. I
Okay.
think Rule 419 is you cannot pull the hair of the champion and punch him.
You really suck at numbers. That's 136. My manual's right in front of me. I don't know what you're talking about.
I went to the same school as the referee, Bobby. We both didn't know the rules. Who knows?
He doesn't know American rules, so.
I figured out how many rules there were based on the page he was on when he read rule number 364. He was about 2/3 of the way through. So I think I figured out there were like 575 rules in that
Approximately.
Approximately. And that far into the book, they'd only gotten to you can't fight outside the ring. You're talking about wrestling in Canada. you're talking about the Hart family and shooting style and catch can and good solid wrestling. So I would imagine that rule book is really thick, and we saw the rule book. It was quite the manual.
Yeah, unbelievable. And how do you get acclimated with a rule book like that, knowing, RC only told Palace earlier in the week about Wednesday or something. You cannot know those in 4 days.
Well, I think he got through part of the rule book because if he started out quick with some back suplexes, maybe two of them, went for a third one, it was reversed, but then he reversed it again, got a couple of more. So it was like pro wrestling for Nintendo. You start off with a couple of those suplexes to, warm up for a couple other moves, weaken him for a few other moves. But I think he got as far as knowing, hey, this back suplex is a legal move. I'll stick to this. But I don't think Palace got very far through the book, which is unfortunate because it ended up costing him, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it was one of the main ones. I mean, because when they actually showed Bobby the rule book, because once again, Bobby not knowing what the hell's going on, it was early in the rule book that Palace loses the match. And it was strike number 3, because the two that we've mentioned with the numbers, Palace got caught on. He was fighting on the outside, and then he was biting and pulling the hair at the same time, which that's a legit rule. You shouldn't do that. But the one that Palace got DQ'd on was you can't have wrist tape longer than 1 inch.
An inch and a half, I think he said.
All right, wow, whatever.
Inch and a half
From the wrist.
From the wrist,
Could
correct.
be an inch and a half up.
And Palace did have, he had it up halfway to his elbow last night.
He had a lot of tape. Yeah.
It looked like probably an inch and 7/8 or so.
That's a lot.
It's over.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah, buddy.
He got DQ'd right there on the spot. The ref had no choice, and Andrew Palace went George Brett on Justin Plummer. That's a pine tar incident for my fellow Yankee fans. He went nuts on Plummer. I thought he was going to hit him. It was getting hot, and then some of those guys around the ring were like, hey Andrew, relax, let's go. And I was like, guys, now is not the time to put your hands on Andrew Palace. He was ready to hurt somebody.
And I liked it. I like to see the little fiery side from Palace.
Yeah. Yep.
You guys know how I feel about Palace.
We've seen the fire from Palace a couple times now. When he had the big match against Jock in the cage, or it was a bull rope, or what? It was a bull rope. And now last night, do any one of you see a heel Palace coming soon?
I'm not going to say yes, but I would like to see it.
I don't think so. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. I think this is a situation where a man who has been near the top of the promotion for a long time is learning that he's got to defend that spot. And I think we're going to see some things from him that we're not used to seeing. When he had that feud with Jock Sampson, you guys remember that match? He didn't come out to the party and go crazy and high five everybody. He walked to the ring and just whipped some ass. It was a bull rope match.
Yeah.
He just came to the ring and put a beat down on his opponent. I think maybe we're going to see a little more of that.
Dastardly Palace. Dastardly.
Yes.
Nice. All right, moving along, we have the Women's IWC Championship match. It is the champion, Katie Arquette, and she's defending against the returning Danny Gray. First time back in the ring after the broken arm, and Danny is ready to take on Katie.
Once again, Katie was out with the entourage, Justin LaBar and Calvin Couture, who looked great as always. Great outfit there last night, Calvin. And they laid waste to Danny early, I'll have to say.
Yeah, really early.
Yeah, they jumped on her injured wrist, which poor lady just got back into the ring after a serious injury. And the first thing they did was, I mean, they all jumped on her. This was a woman and one or two guys attacking one woman. It was crazy. They singled out her injured wrist and may have re-injured it. She was the match never started. She was held back to the locker room, holding her wrist by 3 or 4 ringside people were helping her back.
Yeah, CJ stopped the match, and we thought, well, that's it. Katie can go have a drink down at the Carriage Inn. Katie can go home. But LeBar gets on there and says, hey, that's time for part 2. Let's have somebody else come out. So he opens an opens challenge. He puts out an opens challenge, and unbelievable who answered it. And I was so excited. Returning Ray Lynn. Ray Cray, the Twerkinator. I'm so happy she's back in IWC. And this changed the night dramatically.
This was wild. Yeah, it was a sequel. You wanted a part 2, like you said. You wanted a sequel to this amazing production of this beatdown of Danny. And out comes Ray Lynn, baby facing it up.
Big pop, decent pop.
Yeah, controlling the match. Really baby facing it up with the winking, the pointing to the fans, and the standing on the ropes and high-fiving everybody. And Soup, we did not see what was coming next.
No, we didn't. Calvin had Katie's title, looking great, and he got in the ring and clocks Katie. And Ray Lynn's able to get the 1, 2, 3 to become the new IWC champion. We had the old good double turn, I believe.
Yeah, it looked like an accident at first where he hit Katie. To me, I don't know, I thought he hit Katie by accident. And then he kind of stood over her, and I was like, what's going on? And then Ray Lynn went in for the pin, and it still didn't occur to me. And then she hugged LeBar. And like you said, we got the double turn, the double switch.
All of this behind CJ's back, by the way. Like, I don't know what CJ was looking at. This is the one time, and there's one other time I'm going to call him out too. But CJ...
Well, LeBar was talking to him. They were making plans for the Carriage Inn later. Maybe CJ's getting an extra role in a movie coming up. You never know. Something could have been.
Is what you're saying, Soup.
Yeah. You never know what could be going on there.
All right, I'll pull it back. If he's getting an extra role for something, I'll pull back. CJ, great job during this match then. Great job. And, guys, I said this in the parking lot on the way out. I'm excited for this. This is Ray Lynn's time. She's earned this title. Have her be good, bad, ugly, beautiful, whatever. She has been one of the founding women of IWC for this division. So congratulations to Ray Lynn, a former guest of Can Crushers. So if you want to hear that interview, go back, find it, self-promotion. But yeah, congratulations, Ray Lynn.
You think where Britt Baker is right now and what she's doing, she was catapulted by Ray Lynn.
Yeah, she really was, because that feud lasted a whole summer, and they put on some great matches. Ray Lynn continues to get better and better and better all the time.
Yeah, they grew together. I mean, not to go back to the past, but that's pretty great to see where they are now, where they were. And they really came into their own together. I'm talking about Ray Lynn and Britt Baker.
Yeah, they're both traveling the world now, and for them to come back to IWC and help run this division is great to see as a fan.
To your point, Mark, she was so much crisper and fluid in the ring. Ray Lynn, yeah.
Right. Her drop kicks...
I was just going to say that. Yep, go ahead.
Her drop kicks reminded me of a Von Erich drop kick when she was hitting him last night. She really looked great on the opening bout. Their drop kicks were unbelievable.
Yeah, like the extension and the arch in the back. And,
Yeah.
Yep, very David Von Erich like. Great point.
See, I can get
Yeah,
those in.
she looked a lot better than when I first saw her. That's for sure.
Nice. Moving on, the next match is Spencer Slade and Zach Nystrom. First time we're seeing these guys, Mark and John. Soup seen them last month against Bulk Nasty and Xander Gabriel. And I'm going to stop everything right here. Just Bulk Nasty and Xander Gabriel have now become my new favorite tag team in IWC. I love them. I cannot stand Bulk. I love Xander. The mixture of this, Plumber, if you're listening to this recap, if you don't give them a title run here in the near future and play this whole shtick up, I don't know. I don't want to say I'm not coming because that would be a blatant lie, but I won't buy a pretzel and a hot dog anymore at the event. You know, that's it. Nothing.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair.
And this is the match where I want to talk about CJ a little bit, but go ahead and give us your views, and then we'll end on the CJ thing because this was unbelievable what happened to CJ in this match.
Go ahead, Sue.
I'll start with Slade and Nystrom. Two good looks. For being rookies, you know, they are showing that, hey, they're near the top of their class. They were able to hang with Bulk Nasty, who is probably one of the biggest guys here in IWC, if not the biggest. And, you know, they were able to show that, hey, we can hold our own. And Xander, of course, you know, him and his best friend, Bulk Nasty, couldn't, you know, Bulk, I don't know how I want to say this, but they look good. They got the win, though. But yeah, I want to see them build this team towards the future because I don't think Nystrom and Slade will be a tag team much moving forward. But it will be interesting to see where this leads.
I thought this match was a lot of fun. This told a really cool, fun tag team wrestling story with Bulk Nasty and was it Xander's? Yeah, not necessarily not getting along, but just Bulk doesn't want a partner. You could tell he doesn't want this guy on his team who's half his size. He's yelling at him when Xander's is in the ring, like telling him what to do, tagging himself in, smacking his partner, pushing him out of the way. And this guy was just like, you know, the little dog that follows the big dog and still loves him and wants to be his buddy and thinks they're buddies. Whereas Bulk Nasty can't make it any clearer that he can't stand this guy. And the funny thing is, they got the win with a pretty cool double team move. I think Bulk had him up for he had his partner for an atomic knee drop, but dropped him sort of a leg drop on one of the opponents. They get the pin, and the announcer announces the winners, and Bulk Nasty insists that
I popped for this.
Yeah, that the winners are Bulk Nasty and Bulk Nasty. But through it all, I can't say anything specific the guy said, Xander's, but he had these little quips all along the way, like, we're doing pretty good. We're a good team. Yeah, we got that win, right? Right? We did pretty good. And he gets smacked or pushed out of the way and still think that Bulk was his best buddy. Nothing can get through to this guy that Bulk just couldn't stand him and wanted nothing to do with him, which is why they need to be a team for a lot longer.
Yeah, Bulk reminds me of somebody following you home with his books and just, you know, he doesn't get the point. So you throw his books off a bridge and then he goes gets them, but he gets right behind you to follow you again. Like you could do anything to this guy and I'm here, buddy, I'm there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know, I just can't believe Bulk and Xander, and it's real life, bro. It really is.
Yep. You're not going to believe this. My wife just said the same thing you did, Mark. She just recanted the same story in my ear.
Nice. Not that I know that story, but that's just something that ran through my head. All right. I'm sorry. We lost control. Bulk was going to go for the pin in this, and Xander kind of leapfrogged over him to get the pin. That's another thing that pissed Bulk off. But then he realized, hey, we got the win. Whatever, it's good enough. But
Right.
now let's get to the story of the match. Did you guys know that Nystrom and Slade made CJ a voodoo doll during this match? And people are like, what are you talking about? Anytime that Slade was getting beat on, CJ was feeling it. Like they would do a twisting of the wrist, and CJ's arm would like instantly turn inside out, and then he would shake it. Like CJ got beat up more than any other wrestler tonight during this match.
You give him so much grief, Mark.
He just looked awkward doing all this.
He sold the moves. CJ sold all the moves for sure.
He did, and he was the referee.
Yep.
He felt bad for the rookies, and I don't know.
At one
There were some hard hits. Bulk put his weight behind some of those blows.
At one point, like, they got a chop to the neck, and CJ held his own neck for, like, 3 seconds. Like, I don't know. You thought he was going to end up with one of those Kane talking things at the end of the night because he was hit so hard. All right.
Yeah.
CJ, you know I love you, and it's all in good fun. All right, this is where I have to step back because this is where it changed my night. This blew my mind. I didn't know where to come. I really didn't. Plummer came to the ring, and he was going to make a special announcement. And we had talked about what we thought it was going to be, returning this, returning that, and Bostic comes out. So Bostic is now on
Dylan
the
Bostic.
You actually got me again with that, son of a bitch. So Bostic comes out, and I thought, what is this? By the way, he's got a haircut. Now he looks even douchier. He really does.
Oh yeah, he pulls it off good. Maybe I'll get a haircut now.
He had like a silk shirt with red roses all over it, like a gold-colored silk shirt with red roses all over it.
Yeah.
I think it
you
was
and I both
Gucci.
said, Soup. It was, but we'd wear the hell out of that shirt if we
For
could
sure.
get away with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think either one of you could. But nonetheless, Bostic comes out, makes stake that, he should be in the title hunt, this, that, and the other thing. And then Plummer makes this announcement. And I'm going to give it to both of you because this has probably been one of my biggest mark-out moments in a long time. I screamed like a 13-year-old girl going to a Taylor Swift concert with Miranda Sings lipstick on. Like, it was unbelievable.
Oh, that's pretty specific.
Right.
Right.
I mean, you can just, and if you know any of those, I went nuts. So whoever wants to do it, go ahead because I might scream again.
Well, it was.
And I didn't think this guy was coming back. Sorry. I didn't think he was ever coming back. I really didn't. All right, go ahead. Who was it again?
Yeah, 3.5 years he's been out of the business. He blew out his knee, required surgery, rehab, but he's been cleared. He's been working hard. Jimmy Nuts is back in IWC.
Former heavyweight champion.
Yep. Never thought we'd see him again either. He looks just as good. He doesn't look like he's any older than the last time we saw him.
He looks
He's in great
better.
shape.
He looks
Yeah.
better.
Yeah, he's in great shape.
Yeah, he was heavyweight champion when you guys started going. Before I started tagging along here, like Xander and Bulk. But I heard you guys talk about him a lot. I never saw him in action, but he's got a good look to him, and I'm very intrigued to see what you guys were going nuts about. And I hope this leads to a good feud between him and Bostic, and maybe he'll get back into that world heavyweight title picture.
He's got great energy. He really does. I mean, obviously he's skilled, he's talented, but he's got great energy that just draws people in.
He's a genius, too, by the way. I'm going to step back and tell you, I text my wife and my child, and Ethan is taking a break from wrestling, all right? Not giving it all up, but just taking a little bit of a break. He's 13. He's got women to worry about. He's got, just stuff. He's a busy man, as he said one time. He's a busy man. So I text them both, and I won't hold this against them. I'm like, you won't believe who returned tonight in whatever. You have the guesses, Sting and Stone Cold and,
CM
Punk, Elias. And I'm like, because Ethan is actually, he always was worried. So he never put two and two together. So I said, Jimmy Nuts returned. He texted me back in like 2.2 seconds. I'm pissed I'm not there. And I'm like, I wasn't even a dad. I wasn't even a dad saying, Ethan, you can't talk like that. I'm like, yeah, MFer, you're right. You should be mad. No, I didn't say that back to him. But we're excited. September 13th in Wheeling, West Virginia, you're going to have Jimmy Nuts against Dylan Bostic.
Dylan Bostic.
If you're gonna be sitting next to me during that match saying that, you're gonna get hit in the junk probably 6 or 7 times. Because if you don't,
You're gonna hit me in the nuts.
Yep. Unbelievable, right?
There was a cool segment between those guys too, where Jimmy Nuts was going down the list, talking about his career. What? Go ahead, Mark.
Nothing. Go ahead.
Mark's busted at the seams. I don't know what the hell I just said. Jimmy Nuts talked about his career, what led to the injury, and how Dylan Bostic took advantage of that. Beating a man with one bad leg, and Dylan was smiling, even though he didn't have a microphone. That's why he's such a pro. You could still hear what Dylan Bostic was saying. He's like, no, I would never do that. Are you sure about that? And then it broke out a brawl where Dylan Bostic started to take off like this Ronald Acuna type of gold chain to get ready for his fight. And then decided, no, I'm not going to fight. He started to walk away. And then he threw a cheap shot. Even though he's been away from the ring for 3.5 years, he saw that coming. Jimmy Nuts saw that wide right coming and was prepared to defend himself. It's been 3.5 years, but he hasn't been doing nothing for 3.5 years. He's been training, and as he said, he's been practicing jiu-jitsu.
Hey,
so he saw that punch coming from a mile away and took care of business. And that's where he challenged Bostic to a match next month.
Yeah, and spoiler alert, Jimmy Nuts is going to be a guest on the show here in the near future. We're not going to tell you when yet, just in case something goes awry, but it's in the makings that we already have it booked. We're just making sure, I's are dotted, T's are crossed, and Q's have the little squiggly line on it, so we're all good. It's just that much extra. Everybody dots their I's and crosses their T's. We're making sure it's that much extra by getting the squiggly line on the Q.
Yeah, you don't want too many O's.
Exactly.
Sure.
Exactly. Yep.
All right, moving along. After I marked out, and the next matchup is a battle of tens. It's the Man Dime against Shawn Spears. And I'll start right now. The pop when Shawn came out was amazing. But if you would say across the board, this match it took a little bit of a nosedive. I'm not saying it was a bad match. I'm saying if there was one match where there was not white lightning or white heat or whatever, this match was I don't want to say stale, but the stale match of the night where everybody took a breather because it's been unbelievable thus far.
Yeah, I think that anytime they bring in a star from another promotion, I've not seen really a bad match when they bring somebody in. They had Billy Gunn there maybe as much as a year ago. And that was a lot of fun. And I know Billy Gunn was training guys. I wasn't quite sure what he had left. Put on a really good match with Dylan Bostic. Again, that was about a year ago. But with Shawn Spears, again, another fun match. They told a fun story during the course. What I'm getting at here is IWC fans love IWC wrestlers. And so you can bring in a star from another promotion, and that's great. But we're completely dedicated to our own wrestlers, our own storylines, our own angles, our own feuds, to where, to your point, a match with someone from another promotion is actually a breather for us because we've been so involved in our own guys.
Yeah, you said that good because, with our IWC shows, it's once a month, sometimes twice a month. But with these other guys from other promotions, you can see them on a weekly basis and all that. But yeah, it is kind of like a break for us where, we've seen them before because we're just so dedicated to this IWC. But it also brings in more eyes, and it's good for IWC at the same time.
Yeah, it brings in more ears, too, because everybody's listening to what's going on in IWC. I wasn't being a dick on that because you both just looked at me. Everybody's actually listening to what's going on with IWC via, being on iPay-per-views now and just having so much. So everybody wants to know what's going on with IWC. Like you both said, I don't want to kill a dead horse already. Great match. Spears gets the win. Mandime has just...
By submission, too, though.
Yeah.
By submission.
Awkward ending, I thought, if we're going to dive into the match real quick. They're beating the hell out of each other, and all of a sudden, he's in the sharpshooter. Like, there wasn't a work on the leg at all during this match. It's just boom, sharpshooter,
and
tap.
it was a reversal, right?
Yeah.
This was the match where Mandime had a half crab.
Right.
And Spears reached through, reversed it into a sharpshooter. And that was it. He tapped to the sharpshooter.
Yeah. Like I said, good match. Just it was a nice breather. And then coming up right after it was the intermission. And I went over and talked to Jimmy Nuts. But we'll save all that for the podcast because that's going to be just great. And it's setting up for the three main events because there's 3 cage matches in a row, and I don't know. The first one stole the show. It should be match of the year, I believe. But do you guys have anything to say for the first half of the show so far, besides it being white heat? Go ahead, Sue.
Yeah, it was a great build for us to get to these big matches where there's a lot of bad blood going. So, it got the crowd hot, let you take a little break, get your drink, get your food, and come back ready for the main events. So it was a good first part of the show for sure.
I want to mention just the details in the performances of the first half. Katie Arquette is strutting her stuff. I don't have to defend my belt. I just beat this girl's ass. She's gone. And then LeBar says, let's have a sequel. Let's have a part 2. Let's bring out another opponent. And she kind of had a smile on her face like, no one told me about this. And then she just kind of like, gave this quick nod and shrug of the shoulders like, I trust you, Justin. Her body language said, I trust you. She should not have trusted him. It's the details of the performance. Mark, you and I, this pisses me off. We talk about the Kanellises. They're so bad. I mentioned this on the last podcast that John Kanellis ain't De Niro,
It's Mike!
Mike Kanellis.
Who the hell is John?
Sorry. Maybe I'm seeing a bit of myself in Mike Kanellis because my wife wears the pants in this relationship.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh, it's just so bad. Like, we talk about the things they spring on them maybe at the last minute. They're not good enough to perform these things. Whereas these IWC wrestlers, maybe they're just more committed. I don't know, but the details were there. And she's a movie star,
same with
so she would be a better actress.
Same with Xander with the small little one-liners when Bulk would give him no attention. That was great detail. Jock Sampson getting heated when his regulator team could not beat the main event. He went out and called, Plummer a butthole licker at one point. So, these guys, with the little things, little digs, gets the crowd popping. It's just very entertaining. Very, very entertaining.
And Jock Sampson said that he mentioned Donald J. Trump. His middle name is Jesus. That got a huge laugh.
God, that's amazing.
And he keeps talking about being a good Christian. But then he would say something like, but if you win this damn match, you conducted yourselves like heathens attacking us backstage. What the hell were you doing? So he says things that aren't a good Christian would not say. And the contrast is what I'm saying. It worked perfectly. He talks about being a follower of the Lord and then cheats 6 ways to Sunday during the course of the match. It's brilliant. It's entertaining. It's so much fun. And it's in the little details.
Did I tell you guys that Jimmy Nuts returned last night? I want you all, everybody that listens to this, Plumber, I'm going to help you out because you're going to get some more money because of this. I want you all to go back and rebuy this pay-per-view. Rebuy it. Rewatch it, because once Plumber says Jimmy Nuts, look at the idiot right in the middle of the aisle, jumping up and down, screaming. That's me. Okay? Rewind it, make a meme out of it, make anything, a GIF or a GIF or the Jiffy sandwiches, whatever you call that, that's me. And I shook Jimmy Nuts' hands first. I was the first one. I went nuts. Just letting you know, Nuts has returned, and there's new history in the making, if you may say, coming to IWC.
Yeah, as soon as it was announced that Jimmy Nuts was returning, Mark left his seat, which was near the front. We're in the second row, and ran to the back of the entryway so he could be the first guy. Back in the day.
The 42-year-old garbage man. The 42-year-old garbage man pushing kids out of the way so I can say hello to Jimmy Nuts.
But I can give you credit, Nuts. Once he saw who you were, you could see he had a little glow in his face. I give you credit there.
Yeah, this was a throwback to when we were in high school, days before the internet. I would be calling whatever it was, the 800 number for tickets or whatever the local office was for tickets, whether it was WCW, WWF, independent show. We would get pretty darn good seats. And there were some shows where we had row 1 seats 1 through 8 or whatever. And Mark was just like, I want row 1, seat 1. And it just would continue until I was like, fine. You know, and it started with, well, we'll see when we get there. Maybe I'll sit by this guy, you sit by that. No. Mark was getting row 1, seat 1. So this was kind of a throwback to that. Mark would have stepped on children and the elderly to high-five Jimmy Nuts first.
I did. I did. Poor Jason had no clue that there was a train coming through because he was just sitting by the railing. Jason just got pushed out of the way. Get the hell out of the way, kid.
Jason had a rough night, too, because when the regulators had their match, he was on his phone texting his uncle, telling him the results of the match, and Officer Dan Murphy came and blew his whistle right in his ear and said, "Get off your phone," and scared the living hell out of him. He had a rough night.
He did.
One thing I noticed, you called the one, was he the judge? You called him no, Mark said he looked like Boss Hogg, or one of you guys said he looked like Boss Hogg.
Yeah, the judge, David Lawless.
Yeah. And I said the other guy kind of looked like Enos.
Right.
The Dukes of Hazzard. And then at one point they were double teaming whom? Duke.
Oh.
From the main event.
Yeah.
So you had Boss Hogg and Enos.
Beating up on Duke.
Beating up one of the Duke boys. Yep.
All right.
Let's get to the cage
for all
matches.
of you under 35-year-olds.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. I had something else to say, but I forgot it. So this whole conversation might wrap back around at the end once I think of it. All right, first cage match, which as I said, could be match of the year. Unbelievable. It's Wardlow, who is the Super Indie champion, defending against Josh Alexander, who possesses the Super Indie championship. And unbelievable match. Unbelievable match. At one point, I thought not only the cage, but Courtside Sports was just going to come tumbling down. Like the walls would just come tumbling down.
Yeah, we said that on the recap of the last show. And, the expectations were met. They were two big guys laying each other out. There was some color. Part of the cage even came undone. But, yeah, they were two big guys who don't like each other, kicking each other's asses.
Yeah, part of the cage coming undone. I think Wardlow might have had Josh Alexander in maybe like an atomic drop type of position and crashed him into the cage, and his leg went through the cage and was kind of stuck in there for a while. Never seen anything like that. That was pretty sick.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a planned spot or something. Either way, I don't think it was, but either way, that's something gutsy to, if it was a spot with my air quotes, that's gutsy to try. Because you don't do that right in by a millimeter, schmeter, the smallest possible thing that you can measure. You could, it is a schmeter. You could just gorge your leg and just be done. But thank God, stepping back, Alexander kind of shook it off, and he was all right. And then we kind of watched that spot the rest of the night, for the next two matches, hoping nobody would get around there because at one point, Soup said he wanted Argos' head to be through it.
No, I didn't want it. I just thought it could have happened. I didn't want that.
When you go to Sheets and you don't want too much mustard on your sub, you ask for just a schmeater of mustard on your sub.
Right. Couple schmeatballs in a cup, and you'll be good to go.
Anyway, this was a very good match. There was a lot of wrestling in this match. They used the cage in some good old-fashioned ways, like with the slingshot, like you got a guy, like you set him up for a Boston Crab, but you flip him into the cage, kind of like what Don Morocco did to Jimmy Snuka. Josh Alexander did to Wardlow. They fought on the cage. There was, I believe this was a match, there was a superplex from the top of the cage.
Yeah, he actually had to tuck his legs back in because the lighting harness at the top, could have been just dropped down.
Yeah, that was an interesting spot. I definitely thought they were taking the whole Court Time Sports Center down.
Yeah, that was just thunderous. That echoed through the entire gymnasium. That was a devastating suplex. These guys let it all hang out, man. A lot of power moves. There was a part where Alexander was beating on Wardlow, and Wardlow was just telling him to keep it coming, bring it. These guys let it all hang out, and then in the end, Alexander had him trapped in a submission. I'm trying to remember what the submission was.
The ankle lock.
I think it was an ankle lock.
An ankle lock. That's it. He had him in the ankle lock, and this was brilliant. This was another great detail. He had him in the ankle lock. Wardlow turned into it and kicked him in the face a few times to escape it. Being the brilliant wrestler that he is, then Josh Alexander reapplies the ankle lock and realizes he's got to neutralize the other leg. So he just sticks his other foot out on Wardlow's foot and spreads his legs out a little bit so he can't use that to post, can't use that to kick off of. He was just stuck in this ankle lock.
He also grapelined the leg. If that's what you're grapelined the leg, is pretty much what he did. That was a great telling of the story, but he grapelined the leg.
All right, yeah, I guess could have just narrowed that down to one word. And thanks for editing. He grapevine the other leg with his leg, and Wardlow could do a push up out of there, but he wasn't getting out of there because he couldn't use his legs. Eventually, he passed out.
Yeah, too much blood loss. He pulled the old Stone Cold at WrestleMania 13, and he didn't tap, but he unfortunately gets the L here, and we have a new Super Indy champion.
Question time, where does this lead Wardlow to go now? He lost his rematch for the IWC Heavyweight Championship last month to Argos. Now he actually loses the title. He either lost possession of it, but he actually lost the title now to Alexander. Wardlow need a break because he's been running IWC for damn near 2.5 years now, just defending anything and everything.
If you ask him, I bet he would say he doesn't need a break, so I would not be shocked to see him go right back after Alexander and try to get that title back.
I don't think we see him, unless I'm wrong, and I didn't take a look at the card because that they handed out at the end of the night because my son tore it out of my hands immediately because he wanted to look at it. I don't know that he's on next month's card. But I would guess not. I would guess that it might be a little while before we see him. Maybe he's got some other things going on. But I do believe he makes a return at some point.
Do you know who we are going to see next month, though?
Tell us.
Jimmy Nuts.
Did we cover that?
No, we didn't. Jimmy Nuts has returned. No, actually, two big announcements were made. The one we knew that Kevin Nash is going to be at High Stakes 3, and we also found out that Rhino is making his return as well at High Stakes. So,
another former IWC World Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah. And now we're up to main event number 2, the culmination against Patch and Gory. And we knew something fishy was going to happen in this match. We did from the get. And the ending, I understand where it was going, but it kind of got a little wonky. But, Soup, you go first.
Yeah, the culmination came out. You know, they've had beef with Gory for a while now. And Johnny Patch is, you know, he's still in his first year. And he is a crowd favorite. Gory's a crowd favorite. So they, you know, decided to tag up against the culmination here. Hard-hitting match. Some crazy spots. You knew with, you know, Gory, he'll bite anybody. He'll, you know, do anything to anybody. He's not afraid to get a fight. And Patch being the daredevil, you knew something was going to be up here in the cage. And I just want to give him a shout out. There was a, you know, crazy, how would you say, like a sunset flip, coast to coast from one side of the ring to the other. It was my spot of the night. You know, you see Shane McMahon do it over and over, but you never saw him do it like that.
Yeah,
a lot of props to Patch.
Yeah,
that was crazy. It was a head over heels, like you said, sunset flip in midair, which has got to be hard enough because you're taking your momentum in one direction, and then you got to take your momentum the other direction to administer a drop kick to a guy in the corner. It was like you said, it was sunset flip, coast to coast, and it went in two directions. He went straight up and spun, and then somehow had enough left to redirect himself straight ahead into this drop kick. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's the story of my life. I'd never be able to do that one direction flipping thing. It's unbelievable. It was a music reference. Nobody got it. Never mind.
Sorry.
Nope.
I know NSYNC.
Yeah. Bye. So, unbelievable match. We saw a couple things happen off of the cage. Gory taking a dive. Gory and Atticus Cogar were up there fighting, like on the brink of falling into the crowd. It was unbelievable what these two little men did up there.
Yeah, and the story behind this, in the video they showed, the culmination is courting Gory. And they've made no bones about it. They've come out and said it. There are 3 members, and they want a 4th. And just like Flair, Anderson, and Blanchard yelled into the camera, Barry Windham, you are being considered for this. Just coming out and saying it. Gory, IWC's not your family. We're your family. You belong with us. So they're courting him. It'll be interesting to see if he eventually joins them. I predicted then and there a turn. And maybe they teased it a little bit because you saw Johnny Patch, the rookie, spending a good bit of the match, getting his ass beat, spending a good bit of the match on the mat. Gory kind of trying to keep an eye out for him. You know, there was the point where Luger was down and Wyndham was going it alone, and then it was like, screw this, I don't need this, you know? And I thought that's where Gory was going, where, am I going to fight this on my own? I might as well join these guys. But that didn't happen.
Yeah, and there at the end, you saw it. Well, Patch was on the outside of the cage. The third member of the culmination, Evan Bourne, was trying to get him back into the cage.
Is that really his name, Evan Bourne?
Or something Bourne.
I don't think Evan Bourne was in the WWE.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Well, okay.
But anyways, the third member of the culmination was there trying to, get Patch back into the cage. And Gory comes, was it a fireball?
Yeah.
I believe. And I don't know if he was trying to hit Koger or Remy, but he ended up hitting Patch, and Patch falls off the cage onto the floor, and they get the win technically, but was that done purposely is the question.
Well, go ahead, Martin.
Yeah, you don't know. And what question brings up to me, John, go ahead. You finish your thought because then I'm going to wrap it up.
Okay. I was wondering about the rules, and I wish they would have been a little more specific. Any tag team cage match that I've known, both members need to leave. And when one member gets out, that's where two guys can really work over one guy, and then maybe they leave together. But apparently only one guy had to leave. Johnny Patch fell off the cage and hit the floor, and the match was over, which maybe made us think, did something kind of go wrong here?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. So we won't hold you up for any more. But good match, crazy moves, and now we'll go on to which is dubbed the main event of main events. The IWC Heavyweight Champion Jackson Argos taking on Big League John McChesney for the strap. And Soup, you can hold your thoughts. We'll let John go first this time.
Me? Oh, all right. Well, John McChesney is from Erie.
Right. So many more things. Right.
Yeah. My in-laws probably know him too. What stood out about this match? John McChesney was a man on a mission. I think he controlled most of the match. One thing that was different about this match and the other cage matches, for whatever reason, the other cage matches, you couldn't escape through the door. The door was chained shut. In this match, it was not chained shut. We just had a referee holding it, which was a bit of a spoiler because you guys both said, well, then, we know Dupree's running down to the ring and likely going to open the cage door and run in. Why was it a chained shut? We talk about all the great little details during the course of the night. This kind of sucked for me because here you have the door chained all night. You can't leave through the door, even though I think the announcer at one point said you can leave through the door, and now suddenly the door is just not shut. And you can leave through the door because McChesney asked for the door to be open. It was open. Dupree ran out, didn't interfere like we thought he would in that regard when he jumped in the cage, but he slammed the door shut and would not open it. So that was odd for me. Not enough to ruin the match, but a detail that I think they didn't cover.
Yeah, that was a good point there. Also, I liked how, though, they both brought out weapons, and they were there for a fight. They both brought out trash cans filled with, a lot of different stuff. We saw cookie sheets. We saw pizza pans. We saw hockey sticks, kendo sticks, candy canes, whatever you want to say, But they were there for a fight because it was over the most prestigious award in IWC, the IWC World Heavyweight title.
Where the hell did you see candy canes?
If you looked hard enough into the one trash can, I think that Argos brought, I think there was like 2 or 3 down there at the bottom.
Oh, all right. That's fine. Not that the garbage can was facing our way at all, but okay. So, sure. Sure, Soup. It's your story. And then at one point, Argos was there fighting on the outside. By the way, it wasn't Canadian rules. It was just a regular cage match. So you could fight on the outside for a little bit. Argos sets up a table. So instant speculation. What's going through the table? Who's going through the table? Argos is going through the table to win the title, blah, 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 blah. None of that happened. None of it. When RC was out there, he was climbing the cage, and McChesney, to wrap it up quick, McChesney punched him a few times. RC came crashing down on it and just stayed on the table. The table didn't break. That was a hard bump. I think it not breaking, hurt RC more than if it did break.
And to your point, if people are wondering why he didn't go in through the door, this was a situation where McChesney tried to leave through the door. Dupree stood in front of the door. So McChesney's next logical thing is to exit over the top. He's exiting over the top. Dupree goes there to meet him. They fight at the top. He throws Dupree off the top of the cage. And then you just hear, usually you hear that crunch, that forgiving crunch. This was an unforgiving thud. And he just was, he smacked that table, and neither of them gave, and he was just laid out for a while.
Argos ends up getting, the finishing maneuver off the top rope, but essentially closer to the cage, if there's a middle median there, and gets the win over McChesney. And I don't know how the microphone got in there so fast, but he's like, ladies and gentlemen, don't leave, don't leave, don't leave, because I have a special announcement. Boom! 3.3 seconds later, Argos is getting his ass beat by the returning Jack Pollock.
Former Team Storm member to Argos and Dupree. Back in January, February, one of the two, they ditched him. Pollock announced, hey, I need knee surgery after being heavyweight champion and having wars with Wardlow and Tommy Dreamer and the likes. But he took some time off. It was a well-said, see you later, we'll come back soon healthy. And Argos lays him out, said it's his time. And you see that the era of Argos is, on fire right now, ready to go. And Pollock is now back, ready to stop that and bring it back to the fans. He's a fan guy now, Pollock, and he's out ready to kick some ass.
John's got nothing on it?
No. Here, I don't want to overstate this. It's pro wrestling, and we love it, and sometimes people who don't love it don't understand it. It is an art form. It really is. And art, to be engaging, must create conflict. And I'm going to use Soup as an example here because he has loved Team Storm since the beginning. You're cheering for Team Storm, Soup, and then you're cheering for Jack Pollock upon his return. That's the point. IWC could have taken the easy road and kept these guys together, reunited them last night. That would have been an interesting twist. But they're creating a feud, and they're creating conflict for those fans who like them as a trio and maybe hate to see them split up. So, again, hats off to IWC for doing innovative stuff with storylines that we have seen for decades, but, putting their own little spin on it and creating an art form that has real conflict behind it.
Yeah. Great return. And then Stone Cold Pollock gets some Bud Lights thrown to him in the ring, douses himself with beer, doesn't do the middle fingers or the hell yeah or anything, but it's good to see for the health and for IWC, Jack Pollock returning. I don't know where I am with Pollock and Argos either way. I've always said Argos is a hell of a worker. He sells the shit out of everything. He's amazing. Pollock puts his life on the line match after match. So this is going to be great. It really is. But Jimmy Nuts returned, and that's all that matters.
Dylan Boss Day.
No, this was an awesome night, man. It was a good card, top to bottom. Every match, we discussed every match, and every match was unique in its own way. I know people get sick of us saying it, of using the term. Every match told a different story in that way. They all stood out,
They really did.
And yeah, it doesn't just tell a story for the night. There is a cliffhanger at the end that keeps you wanting more.
Yeah, the plumbers have it. Let's put this to bed. We know Plummer is, and this is going to help him out. His head's not going to fit through the courtside sport in a minute, but he's a genius. He really has his shit together month after month, wherever it is at Clearfield or Elizabeth or going to Wheeling or anywhere. He knows how to get that crowd white hot.
And Jenny and Justin are fortunate to have the performers they do too. Let's give them some credit.
Right.
Because
I was going there.
These men and women are committed to everything they do. And guys, really, in any performance, commitment is X percentage, but it's an important percentage. And we talked about all the details, especially in Katie's match, for me anyway. The details, the little look, the subtleties, those are all important. They're just as important as the devastating superplex on the top of the cage. They're just as important as Wardlow's swanton, where I hold my breath every time because he turns at the last possible moment. They have performers that are committed. It just as important as that stupid handbook that Dupree had. And he was committed to it, and ringing of the bell, like when he was in Justin's face screaming and ringing the bell because he was so enraged. Like, you've been there. You just don't know what else to do. So he starts banging on the bell. I'm talking about
Andrew Palace.
Thank you, Palace. Yeah, Dupree's opponent for the night. He was so mad he just starts banging on the bell. Like, whether that came to him in the moment or he thought about that earlier, it doesn't matter. It looked very real,
Yeah, nobody's going to believe you if you don't believe in yourself.
Exactly.
Wow.
It's called a garbage can, not a garbage
We're not there yet. We're not there yet. We didn't do the beers. All right, but we're going to be there, you son of a bitch. Ratings, and you go first, and that's the last word you're going to be. I'm going to cut you off. No, how many beers do you give this?
I give this a 5.5 out of 6 beers. I still want more. I'm very pleased. The only reason I'm not giving it the other half is because I set it down and let it get piss warm. It's not IWC's fault. So keep bringing me the 6-pack. I'll keep drinking all that I can. IWC.
John, go ahead.
That just reminds me of online, no offense, but online ratings you see these days. Nothing was wrong, but I had a bad day, so I'm giving it 2 stars. I set my beer down and let it get piss warm, so I didn't finish the other half. So it gets 5.5 through no fault of your own, IWC. Just giving you grief. No, I give it 6, man. There was just nothing wrong with this card, top to bottom, entertaining, good show. Very good show.
I'm giving it a 12-pack. Jimmy freaking Nuts is back. I'm marked out. Of course, this was the best thing since January 2016 was the worst day in IWC history. That is when we found out that Jimmy Nuts, was going to need surgery. If I got my dates right around there, he'll correct us in time. But that was the downfall. There's a rise and a fall to every organization. And to me, that was the downfall for a few seconds. And now we're back on. I can't use Phoenix because Sean Phoenix is actually a wrestler, but the Eagle, the Gladiator, the whatever has returned to IWC. And as I posted last night on Facebook, that was the greatest moment when Jimmy Nuts won the title. And my family was there. We had Sylvan there. We took a picture. It was great. That was the greatest moment in IWC history. Until last night. Jimmy Nuts returns. Shit's going to get all correct. We talked about some feuds that he could do, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Jimmy Nuts is back, and we are ready to take on the world again.
The picture with us in the solo cups and the necklaces and me busting out my fraternity stuff from college with the actual fraternity. No, that's not bigger than...
No. I love the fraternity.
I just wanted to ask.
I love the fraternity. I love Britt Baker. We've got pictures with her. I love Ray Litt. I could name. I love Jenny. I love all of them. But I just think last night just gave me an extra spark. Legit, guys, let me give him his promo. If you want to follow, you're in Idaho or Iowa or Guam or wherever you may be.
Italy.
Right? If you're if you're related to Francisco Cervelli and you want to watch this pay-per-view, IWCWrestling.com. You can get on there, you can subscribe monthly and watch all of them for $9.99. Or if you don't want to spend it $9.99, you could just buy the one pay-per-view at their said price. Guys, if you've not heard about IWC, this is one of the matches. This is one of the cards that you should watch. You'll get suckered right in to knowing all the storylines. You're loving it. You're going to want to pay the $9.99 a month to go back and get caught up, to watch some of Jimmy Nuts' earlier matches, and just go frickin' nuts.
Not to, I don't want to name names to give out anybody's private information, but someone from IWC I found out is my neighbor. And I saw him a few times, reached out to him. We met up one day, and we talked about, independent pro wrestling. We talked about how Mark and I discovered big time wrestling purely because Ric Flair was going to be there big time, I think back in 2013, and we just weren't going to miss this opportunity to meet Ric Flair. I don't know, people are sick of hearing this, had not watched wrestling for 13 years. My son was getting into it a little bit. We met Ric Flair, had a great time. The matches at big time were very, very good. And I told this guy that led us to IWC, and he kind of laughed and said, you guys kind of hit it out of the ballpark right at the beginning. You hooked up with big time in IWC. He's like, and no disrespect, but there's a lot of independent wrestling out there that isn't very good. And these guys are trying their hardest, and they want to be somebody, and they want to go somewhere, and we get it. When you think about independent wrestling, sometimes, guys, it's not the best that's out there. IWC is just getting better and better and better. I don't know of an independent promotion anywhere, and I'm not going to say I have my ear to the ground like you, Mark. I don't know another independent promotion anywhere that's as good. This had, an incredible feel to it. Professionalism, people with headsets, people making things happen. They're putting up a steel cage, and it's humongous, and they still got to walk through the crowd and knock over chairs and step on my Sprite that I just bought. That's okay. That's a reminder that we're still in a small venue with a small promotion. The rest of it, though, the performances, just fantastic, top to bottom, man. I don't know anything out there that's better.
Yeah, they have. If you want to say there's 4 big promotions out there that everybody knows, IWC has ties with all of them. And I'm going to name names. You have Jonathan Gresham, who has worked in ROH. You have Josh Alexander, who is in Impact. You have Sean Spears, Christopher Daniels, Britt Baker, and the list could go on, now tied to AEW that keep, peeking their nose in IWC. And guys, if you haven't walked with anybody like Elias or, been part of a cult with CM or are phenomenal like AJ, they've all been through this organization. Prior to Plummer, with Plummer, any way that you want to put this, all these organizations have been there. And now just to make a twist as well, there's 2 or 3 big women's as well with Rise and Shimmer. Well, guess what? Raylan, Katie, Britt, Jinx have all been on those. So you want to talk about spreading their wings and flying. IWC is pretty MF and big, and they got their footprint across America.
Well said by both of you. I finished my half a beer. 6 out of 6 stars. IWC. Cannot wait for next month.
So it's really piss warm because we are 13 hours later, and you brought it home with you.
I'm so dedicated that, I finished it just for IWC. Cannot wait for next month.
So that's 24 out of 18 then, right?
Yes.
There's a possible 18. It got 24, which reduces to 24 divided by
8, John. It's 8 apiece.
Well, no, I understand that, but I'm trying to figure out the percentage. Like 150%. 133% is what they earned.
You're English,
Well
Professor.
done.
Yeah.
Well done.
Well done, IWC.
Shout out to you, Mark. Mark left my house probably close to midnight, hit some traffic, got home after 3 a.m. He's the first one up, getting this whole thing set up. Called us both, woke my lazy ass up, even though I had the...
You still are not out of bed. You still are not out of bed.
Mark is dressed and with all the equipment. Let's just say, guys, Can Crushers listeners, you should be happy that you're only hearing me right now and not seeing me.
All right. We're going to break the fourth wall of Can Crushers here for a minute. Every time I show up at this jackass's house, and then we're going to cut it off. Every time, because we're getting closer to an hour and a half. It doesn't matter if it's June, July, December. However I knock on the door, you get the, hey, come in, Uncle Mark. I walk in, and you would think Ron Jeremy's in there walking around because this guy never has clothes on when he knows people are coming over to his house. He's got boxers on, don't let me go there. But he's just walking around like Rick Rude looking for Jake's wife. It's unbelievable.
What can I say?
Cheryl is a lucky woman.
Big burly chest.
Yeah.
Strutting around the house.
Our-
I'm first generation Italian American. That's how we do.
Yeah, that's how we roll. All right, everybody do their shtick, and let's get the hell out of here. I have to edit and get this up by 11.
All right, I'm the IRS. I'm here for your money. Put it into wrestling. Put it into Can Crushers. See you next month.
Guys, words are important. Think about how you write. Think about how you speak. This message brought to you by the English Professor.
Yeah, think about how you speak. Guys, remember, just because those two jackasses are trash, stick with Can Crushers, because it's called a garbage can, not a garbage cannot. We'll see you guys Wednesday. Lots of wrestling that you can go back and watch, but support your indies. That's where it's really at.